The first whispers of Earth's ruins came not from human records, which had long since vanished, but from scattered signals detected at the edges of known space. Alien civilizations had intercepted faint, ancient transmissions, pulses of energy that were impossible to trace fully, yet which bore patterns indicating intelligence far beyond contemporary comprehension. Some dismissed them as anomalies, others as myths, but a few fleets dared to follow the trail. Among them was the Valoran Expeditionary Fleet, led by Captain Arendor, an officer renowned for surviving the most dangerous exploration missions in the outer systems. The fleet's approach to the Sol system was cautious. Charts marked it as a long-lost human territory, a place that should have been lifeless for millennia. Yet the sensors were insistent. Energy readings fluctuated in precise sequences, as if something was watching, aware of their presence. From orbit, Earth was a world of contradictions. The continents bore the scars of time, cities reduced to skeletal frameworks, forests reclaiming once great metropolises, oceans stretching over lands that had once teemed with life. Yet there was something unnatural in its stillness, a hum of energy that no alien technology could classify. It pulsed in patterns that mirrored the approach of ships, changing rhythm as if acknowledging their presence. Captain Arendor and his officers studied the readings, noting fluctuations in gravitational fields, electromagnetic anomalies, and faint subspace distortions. Drones were dispatched to survey the planet's surface, but as they descended, the first signs of the planet's awareness became unmistakable. Streets and buildings appeared to shift subtly beneath the drones, walls forming and unforming, shadows that moved without a source. The first landing teams touched down in what had once been the core of a sprawling city, its scale vast enough to dwarf even the largest alien metropolises. The ruins, though crumbling, conveyed a precision of design that suggested intelligence far surpassing anything contemporary civilizations had produced. Corridors twisted in non-Euclidean geometries, stairways looped in impossible arcs, and open spaces expanded in ways that challenged perception. Every object seemed alive with potential energy. Sensors detected fluctuations that suggested adaptive systems reacting to movement, energy, and even thought. The explorers realized with growing unease that they were not merely witnessing architecture, they were encountering intelligence encoded into matter itself. Captain Arendor's team explored a towering structure that had resisted time better than the rest. As they entered, a low hum filled the air, rising and falling in patterns that suggested a language or signaling system. Holographic panels, long dormant, flickered to life, projecting star maps, planetary systems, and coordinates that spanned light years. These maps were not static. They shifted, showing hypothetical courses of action, potential trajectories, and the remnants of civilizations humans had once interacted with or influenced. The team's scientists struggled to interpret the data. They realized that humans had built more than cities. They had constructed a network of knowledge and observation so vast that it could persist independently of its creators. Even in extinction, humanity had woven its understanding into the very fabric of the planet. Outside, the ruins continued to respond. Crumbled towers appeared to rise briefly, then collapsed again, as if testing the approach of the explorers. Streets illuminated in fleeting patterns, forming symbols that pulsed in resonance with the fleet's sensors. Drones sent further into the city reported corridors that reshaped themselves, rooms that extended or contracted depending on observation points, and artifacts that seemed to anticipate inspection, shifting subtly to display information. Every action of the explorers was mirrored by a reaction from the planet, yet these reactions were not random. They were precise, calculated, and impossible to predict. It was as though the ruins themselves were learning, adapting, and assessing the newcomers, exercising judgment across every surface, every corridor, and every machine. Subterranean structures revealed even more astonishing phenomena. The team found what appeared to be a core chamber, shielded beneath kilometers of rock and rubble. The entrance, long sealed, dissipated as the explorers approached, revealing a network of corridors lined with technology that no alien engineer could replicate. Holographic interfaces projected information in multiple dimensions, displaying not only the history of human civilizations, but their knowledge of physics, subspace manipulation, and interstellar strategy. Maps of the galaxy illustrated colonies and outposts that humans had established before any other species had achieved warp travel. Energy conduits pulsed rhythmically, and instruments indicated a form of awareness embedded in the systems, an intelligence operating autonomously, yet in accordance with human intent. It soon became apparent that Earth was not merely a repository of knowledge or a monument to a vanished civilization. It was alive. The planet itself had become a sentient system capable of perceiving, learning, and reacting. Fleet formations in orbit were subtly influenced by gravitational anomalies. Communication systems experienced interference that appeared to anticipate their content. Drones and probes found themselves redirected or disabled in ways that suggested deliberate manipulation. Even the alien crew members reported sensations of being watched, of the environment responding to their thoughts and movements. The realization struck them with awe and terror. They were no longer surveying ruins. They were being observed and evaluated by an intelligence that had endured beyond death, encoded into the very ground they walked on. Captain Arendor convened his officers to assess the implications. The Valoran fleet had encountered countless alien intelligences, but none had exhibited such persistence, subtlety, or absolute control. This was not a matter of firepower, tactics, or strategy. It was the enduring presence of a species that had anticipated its own extinction and left a mechanism to continue influencing the galaxy. Humanity, they realized, had not disappeared. It had transformed, embedding its essence into the planet itself. The ruins looked back at them, not with eyes, but with the unerring precision of a consciousness that had mastered foresight, intelligence, and vigilance across millennia. Even from orbit, the planet pulsed with awareness. Every anomaly, every shifting structure, every flicker of energy conveyed a message. Humanity had been here, had mastered the stars, and had ensured that its presence would remain a force to be reckoned with. The explorers felt the weight of a civilization that had transcended mortality, that had become eternal not through life but through legacy, intelligence, and the careful orchestration of its environment. Earth's ruins were alive, aware, and immeasurably powerful, and the Valoran fleet understood that they had stepped into the remnants of a species that had shaped the cosmos itself. As the fleet lingered in orbit, the anomalies emanating from Earth intensified. Planets that should have been stable exhibited microgravity shifts, minor orbital wobbles, and atmospheric variations that defied natural explanation. Energy readings pulsed rhythmically across the system, resonating with patterns that seemed deliberately targeted at the fleet. Instruments fluctuated unpredictably, sensors became erratic, communication signals distorted, and navigation systems reported contradictory spatial data. The Valoran scientists attempted to isolate the phenomena, but every attempt was countered by responses they could not anticipate. It was clear that the planet itself was influencing the environment, subtly manipulating the forces around it in ways that were both defensive and instructive. Captain Arendor organized exploratory teams to descend to the surface, hoping to uncover the source of these anomalies. The first landing party entered the remnants of what had once been a sprawling metropolis. Streets, crumbled and overgrown, appeared to pulse faintly with energy. Skyscrapers twisted in forms that challenged conventional geometry, and corridors extended in ways that could not physically exist. Holographic projections flickered in midair, displaying data streams that no alien technology could decipher. Drones sent ahead vanished and reappeared unpredictably, often returning with data that had been partially rewritten, suggesting that the planet was not just observing, it was interacting with and correcting the explorers' tools. The city itself seemed alive, responding to intrusion as if it were a living organism. As the teams delved deeper into the ruins, it became apparent that every aspect of the environment was part of a sophisticated feedback network. Streets reconfigured themselves based on movement. Buildings reshaped to direct attention toward points of significance. And energy conduits pulsed rhythmically in sync with approaching humans and alien explorers alike. These were not simple automated systems. They were adaptive, intelligent, and responsive. The ruins were testing the visitors, learning from them, guiding them toward understanding, and subtly assessing intent. Every artifact, every fragment of architecture contained layers of encoded information. Mathematical models, historical records, and technological blueprints, designed to communicate the genius of a civilization that had mastered interstellar knowledge and foresight. Beneath the city, vast subterranean chambers extended for kilometers, forming a labyrinthine network of intelligence. Here, the explorers found energy cores that emitted pulses in complex temporal patterns, holographic interfaces projecting three-dimensional star maps and historical records across light years. These maps not only illustrated humanity's expansion across the galaxy, but depicted their influence on other civilizations, alliances, interventions, and conflicts carefully observed and recorded. Alien scientists struggled to process the information. The scale and complexity of the data exceeded the limits of their understanding. It became undeniable. Humanity had left a conscious imprint on the universe, a legacy designed to persist beyond their extinction. The planet's awareness was further demonstrated when energy anomalies began to interfere with the fleet itself. Communications distorted, engines faltered, and navigational data warped. Alien crews reported sensations of being watched, of mental impressions brushing against their consciousness, subtle cues that suggested observation and evaluation. Probes and drones that ventured too far from human-designated paths either vanished temporarily or returned with altered logs, indicating that the planet was actively managing interactions. Earth was not only alive, it was sentient, capable of adapting to new intelligence entering its space. The explorers recognized that they were not surveying ruins, they were being evaluated by the enduring intellect of a species that had anticipated its own disappearance. As they continued their survey, subtle messages began to manifest in the environment. Patterns of energy pulses and geometric shifts communicated information directly to the explorers' sensors, conveying historical, scientific, and cultural data. Unlike conventional communication, this was a language of resonance and structure, intuitive yet impossible to fully articulate. The explorers realized that humanity had transcended the limitations of physical life, embedding consciousness and intelligence into the very structures of their homeworld. The planet itself was alive with purpose, an active sentinel containing the collective knowledge and foresight of the species that had once walked its surface. Teams exploring the outer sectors of the ruins discovered anomalies that blurred the line between technology and biology. Crystalline structures that appeared dormant would resonate when approached, projecting holographic visions of past human achievements. Entire districts seemed to reorganize themselves according to the explorers' perceptions, guiding attention toward points of interest or knowledge. Devices that had been considered inert responded dynamically, displaying star maps, equations, and predictions about the galaxy's movements. The Valoran scientists began to understand that this was no longer a planet. They were witnessing a form of intelligence that had learned to survive in the absence of its creators, preserving and extending humanity's influence across time and space. Even alien leadership in orbit began to recognize the scale of what they had encountered. Initial assumptions about Earth as a dead planet crumbled under evidence of sentience and control. Subtle manipulations of fleet formations, communications, and sensors created a sense of disorientation and awe. Officers reported visions, unaccountable sensations, and flashes of information directly into their neural interfaces. It became evident that humanity had not merely left a memory. They had left a sentient system capable of observing, interacting with, and guiding anyone who approached. The planet's influence extended beyond its surface, reaching into space itself, an enduring testament to a species that had anticipated every contingency. By the end of the first day of exploration, the Valoran Expeditionary Force had reached a profound realization. The ruins were not inert remnants of history. They were active, aware, and deliberate. Every anomaly, every shifting structure, every flicker of energy was a demonstration of humanity's enduring genius. The explorers were being observed, assessed, and perhaps taught, confronted with a civilization whose reach extended beyond mortality, biology, and even time itself. Earth's ruins were alive, and the fleet understood that this intelligence born of humanity was a force to be reckoned with. No species could underestimate the creators of such a legacy, not even the most advanced empires of the galaxy. As the Valoran Expeditionary Force pushed further into the ruins, they began to realize that Earth's sentience extended far beyond simple observation or reactive mechanisms. The anomalies they encountered were not merely defensive, they were deliberate, structured, and almost pedagogical. Hallways twisted into impossible geometries, shifting subtly as the explorers moved through them, guiding attention toward critical nodes, intricate artifacts, and pulsating energy cores. Some corridors appeared to loop endlessly, yet the explorers never truly became lost. Instead, they were subtly directed toward points of revelation, as if the planet itself sought to communicate the history, knowledge, and purpose of its vanished inhabitants. Every step through the city became a lesson, an unspoken dialogue in which the aliens were both pupils and witnesses to the ingenuity of humanity. Deep beneath the surface, the subterranean structures expanded into vast catacombs of knowledge. Gigantic chambers housed crystalline matrices, each encoding centuries of human scientific progress, technological advancements, and cultural memory. The crystals emitted harmonic vibrations that resonated with the explorers' instruments, producing a symphony of data in wavelengths and frequencies beyond the comprehension of even the most advanced alien technology. The Valoran scientists struggled to interpret the signals, but fragments of understanding emerged. Advanced propulsion systems capable of bending spacetime, energy sources that dwarfed the output of entire star systems, and weapon systems designed not merely for destruction but for the manipulation of reality itself. Each revelation carried an implicit warning. This civilization, though vanished, had mastered forces beyond reckoning. As they navigated deeper into the planet, the explorers began encountering what could only be described as echoes of humanity. These were not mere holographic projections, but adaptive, sentient simulations that reacted to questions, analysis, and even subconscious thoughts. When a Valoran officer speculated on the potential use of a strange crystalline interface, it responded with visualizations showing not only the function of the device, but its place in the broader context of interstellar strategy. The planet was teaching them, yet with an intelligence that surpassed pedagogy. It anticipated the aliens' assumptions, corrected misconceptions, and guided understanding toward truths that no conventional instruction could convey. Outside the city, Earth's influence reached into orbit and beyond. The Valorant fleet, initially confident in their control of the surrounding space, found their instruments and ships behaving unpredictably. Fleets in formation experienced subtle shifts in relative velocity. Navigation systems reported conflicting star maps, and communications were intermittently overwritten by patterns that seemed to encode advanced mathematics, physics, and strategy. Officers reported a sense of cognitive intrusion, thoughts, images, and patterns that seemed to originate from the planet itself. The realization struck them with awe and terror. Humanity had transcended biology, embedding its intellect into matter, energy, and even the surrounding space-time. The planet had become an extension of its creator's consciousness, a living testament to the human spirit. Among the subterranean halls, the explorers found a chamber that appeared to function as a central nexus. Its walls shimmered with energy, pulsing in resonance with the presence of living beings, while holographic projections displayed the entirety of the galaxy as humanity had known it. Systems that no alien had charted were illuminated in intricate detail, showing colonies, interstellar trade networks, and the influence of humans on distant civilizations. What was most astonishing was that some of these projections seemed predictive. Movements of fleets, expansions of civilizations, and even potential conflicts were mapped with uncanny accuracy. Earth's intelligence had not merely cataloged the past, it had simulated the future, anticipating events across millennia and light years, preserving the foresight of a species that had mastered time itself. Explorers who ventured near certain crystalline structures experienced visions that transcended conventional perception. They saw Earth as it once was, vibrant with life, cities teeming with beings of remarkable ingenuity and resilience. They witnessed human explorers traversing the stars, negotiating with alien civilizations, and confronting challenges that tested not only their technology but their spirit. These visions were interactive. As the aliens attempted to engage, the environment responded, adjusting, expanding, and clarifying details according to the questions and assumptions made. The planet was conversing, teaching, and evaluating simultaneously. It was a demonstration of a species that had anticipated its own extinction and prepared for it by becoming an enduring, conscious presence within its homeworld. Even beyond the catacombs and city structures, the planet extended its influence into subtle, almost mystical domains. Gravitational fields in orbit warped to guide probes toward points of interest. Electromagnetic fluctuations transmitted data imperceptible to conventional sensors. Quantum anomalies formed patterns that encoded complex instructions. Every attempt by the aliens to understand or control the environment was met with an adaptive response, a carefully calibrated adjustment that revealed the depth of Earth's sentience. Captain Arendor and his officers recognized that they were not merely exploring ruins. They were engaging with an intelligence that could manipulate matter, energy, and perception at scales that defied imagination. As the explorers pieced together the magnitude of humanity's achievement, a profound truth became undeniable. The planet had been designed not merely to survive its creator's disappearance, but to act as an active participant in the galactic theater. It could observe, assess, teach, and even influence other species that approached its domain. The ruins, the energy conduits, the crystalline matrices, and the shifting architecture, all of it constituted a single, unified intelligence, humanity, preserved, vigilant, and enduring. It was a civilization that refused to be forgotten, whose legacy would continue to shape the galaxy even in absence of its creators. The day concluded with the alien crews in awe and unease. The planet had made its presence known, had taught them pieces of history and technology, and had demonstrated powers beyond comprehension. The realization resonated across every ship and crew member. Humanity had transcended mortality, embedding intellect, foresight, and spirit into the very fabric of their homeworld. Earth's ruins were alive, aware, and deliberate, a silent testament to a species whose influence could not be erased. The Valoran fleet understood that they had not merely discovered remnants of a civilization. They had encountered an enduring intelligence, one that would forever alter their perception of power, legacy, and the true potential of humanity. As the alien explorers continued their survey, it became increasingly clear that Earth's sentience was not content with passive observation. The planet itself began to act, subtly and purposefully, manipulating the environment and even the fleet orbiting above. Energy surges radiated across the surface, warping subspace and creating distortions that interfered with alien navigation systems. Sensors became erratic, and the ship's instruments reported conflicting readings, some indicating massive gravitational anomalies, others hinting at hidden energy fields that could not be traced. The alien officers quickly realized that these effects were not random. They were orchestrated, precise, and reactive to their actions. Earth was not only aware of their presence, it was testing them, measuring them, judging them in ways they could barely comprehend. Explorers on the ground witnessed phenomena that defied explanation. Entire city blocks shifted subtly, buildings and streets rearranging themselves in response to movement, thought, and observation. Crystalline interfaces projected intricate visualizations of galactic maps, showing civilizations, fleets, and anomalies across thousands of light-years. These maps were interactive, responding to queries before they were fully asked, highlighting sectors that demanded attention. It became apparent that humanity had not only mapped the stars, but had predicted the movements, growth, and potential conflicts of entire civilizations. The humans who had once walked these streets had left behind a planetary intelligence capable of simulating and influencing events on an interstellar scale. Subterranean chambers revealed the full magnitude of this legacy. The explorers discovered rooms filled with geometric matrices that resonated with harmonic energy, encoding human knowledge, strategy, and history into patterns of pure force. Some of these matrices responded to observation, adapting in real time to the questions and assumptions of the alien scientists. When a Valoran officer attempted to interact with a holographic display, it unfolded additional layers of data: starship schematics, technological principles, and mathematical proofs that had never been recorded elsewhere. The room itself seemed alive, observing and guiding, ensuring that the visitors understood not only the raw information, but the context, strategy, and philosophy behind it. As the fleet above observed these developments, Earth's influence extended into space. Ships in orbit began experiencing inexplicable fluctuations in their trajectories, subtle accelerations and decelerations that defied Newtonian expectations. Communication signals were intermittently overwritten with encoded information that hinted at advanced scientific concepts far beyond the comprehension of the alien crews. Sensors detected subspace distortions, quantum entanglements, and energy fluctuations that suggested the planet was actively scanning, learning, and interacting with the fleet. Every action taken by the aliens was met with a calculated response, as if the planet were orchestrating an intricate lesson in intelligence, strategy, and foresight. The explorers began encountering what could only be described as echoes of humanity, adaptive simulations that responded with awareness and initiative. These echoes provided guidance, demonstrating advanced principles of physics, interstellar navigation, and energy manipulation. They anticipated the questions of the alien crews, adjusting explanations and projections to reveal deeper truths. The planet, in essence, had become a living archive and teacher, capable of imparting knowledge, testing comprehension, and revealing the full scope of human ingenuity. It was not merely a repository of information, it was an active, conscious entity preserving the essence of a species that had transcended its own mortality. Outside the city, alien fleets struggled to maintain cohesion as Earth's influence subtly disrupted formation, sensor arrays, and communications. Gravitational anomalies, energy pulses, and subspace distortions combined to create a dynamic environment that challenged the aliens' ability to operate effectively. Reports from officers in orbit described sensations of being observed and understood, as if the planet had insight into their thoughts, intentions, and strategies. Even attempts to deploy drones and probes were met with adaptive interference, indicating that Earth's intelligence could predict and counteract exploratory maneuvers before they were fully executed. Within the ruins, the explorers uncovered evidence of humanity's understanding of the universe at scales that rivaled even the most advanced alien civilizations. Holographic projections displayed starship designs capable of manipulating spacetime, weapons that could redirect energy on interstellar scales, and energy systems that drew power from the fundamental forces of reality itself. Every discovery emphasized the foresight and brilliance of humans, whose knowledge and creativity had been encoded into the very structure of their planet. This intelligence was deliberate, anticipatory, and enduring, capable of persisting across millennia and reacting to intruders in ways that preserved the legacy of the species. By the fourth day, the Valoran expedition had come to a profound realization. They were not merely witnessing remnants of a long-dead civilization. They were confronting an intelligence that had become a force unto itself. Earth's ruins were alive, sentient, and deliberate, capable of guiding, instructing, and influencing anyone who approached. The explorers felt the weight of a species that had anticipated its own extinction and ensured that its legacy would continue to shape the galaxy. Humanity had transcended mortality, embedding awareness, strategy, and knowledge into every atom of its homeworld. The planet was a living monument, a conscious entity, and a reminder that the creators of such intelligence could never truly be forgotten. Even as the Valoran scientists tried to quantify or categorize these phenomena, it became increasingly clear that Earth operated on principles beyond comprehension. Time, space, and energy were manipulated with precision and intent, and the planet's responses were adaptive, anticipatory, and unfailingly intelligent. Every anomaly, every shift in architecture, every pulse of energy conveyed a single undeniable truth: humanity had not disappeared. It had transformed, becoming an enduring force that would forever influence the cosmos, silently guiding, teaching, and testing all who dared to enter its domain. The galaxy had assumed Earth was gone, but Earth had only changed form, and the living intelligence of humanity had awakened in full measure. By the fifth day of exploration, the full scale of humanity's enduring presence became undeniable. The alien fleet, once confident in its superiority, now operated under the silent dominion of a planet that had outlived its creators. Earth's sentience extended across continents, oceans, and the very atmosphere itself, manipulating forces on scales that challenged the understanding of even the most advanced civilizations. Subtle gravitational distortions nudged ships into positions that revealed patterns and truths. Energy pulses transmitted knowledge directly into neural networks, and holographic constructs projected history and strategy in a manner that felt almost alive. Every action of the Valoran forces was anticipated, every observation guided, and every misstep corrected by an intelligence that had mastered foresight to an unimaginable degree. Deep within the subterranean chambers, explorers discovered the heart of this planetary consciousness, a vast, crystalline nexus pulsating with energy that seemed to resonate across space itself. The crystals acted as conduits, linking knowledge, memory, and strategy into a living, adaptive intelligence. Through these conduits, the aliens could witness humanity's entire history, not as fragmented records, but as a continuous, coherent narrative of ingenuity, resilience, and foresight. The Nexus revealed humanity's mastery of physics, energy, and even the manipulation of space-time itself. It became evident that humans had not merely advanced technologically, they had fundamentally transformed existence, embedding awareness into matter, energy, and ultimately the planet itself. The intelligence was alive, patient, and deliberate, a force that transcended mortality. Outside, the fleet experienced the full breadth of Earth's influence. Entire sectors of space were subtly warped, guiding ships into formations that illuminated strategic patterns and truths. Sensors detected energy fields that could manipulate subspace, distorting time and perception in localized areas. Drones sent ahead would vanish and reappear in different locations, having acquired additional data and insights. Communication arrays occasionally transmitted fragments of language, mathematics, and star maps directly into the minds of the alien crews, bypassing conventional translation methods entirely. It was as if Earth itself was speaking, not in words, but in resonance, structure, and understanding, revealing its intelligence to those capable of perceiving it. The aliens' initial arrogance gave way to awe and fear as they recognized the scope of what they had uncovered. Humanity had anticipated the possibility of extinction, the threats of external forces, and the limitations of corporeal existence. In response, they had transformed their planet into an enduring sentinel, a conscious entity capable of observing, guiding, and influencing the galaxy for millennia. The explorers realized that every anomaly, every shift in architecture, and every energy pulse was not merely defensive, it was communicative, instructive, and evaluative. Earth was alive, aware, and determined to preserve the essence of its creators. As contact with the planetary nexus deepened, the aliens began to perceive a staggering truth. Earth could project influence far beyond its immediate environment. Energy fields reached into interstellar space, subtly shifting gravitational constants, nudging fleets along paths that revealed hidden knowledge, and revealing truths about distant civilizations that had never encountered humans. It became clear that the planet was not only sentient, but omnipresent in its scope of influence, capable of guiding events across light years in subtle, nearly imperceptible ways. Humanity, it seemed, had transcended even the bounds of their solar system, embedding consciousness into the very fabric of reality. The explorers' interactions with Earth revealed yet more of humanity's extraordinary legacy. Holographic projections within the planetary nexus displayed simulations of interstellar events, showing conflicts, alliances, and expansions in precise detail. The planet could model outcomes across millennia, predict technological innovations, and anticipate strategic maneuvers with uncanny accuracy. Alien crews watched as their own movements were integrated into these simulations, revealing not only their intent but their vulnerabilities and assumptions. Humanity, through its planetary consciousness, had created a living, adaptive archive of intelligence capable of teaching, guiding, and even manipulating species across the galaxy. In one extraordinary moment, the Valoran scientists observed a phenomenon that defied all previous understanding. The planet projected a vast energy field into orbit, forming patterns that resembled both stellar constellations and complex equations simultaneously. The energy seemed alive, pulsating with intention, and as it expanded, it interacted with the alien fleet directly. Ships' systems were overridden, not destructively, but instructively, correcting errors, highlighting weaknesses, and illuminating truths about the universe. It was a demonstration of humanity's mastery, a force capable of asserting influence without violence, teaching without speech, and commanding attention without aggression. The Valoran officers understood that Earth had become a teacher, a guardian, and a sentinel, all in one. As the explorers delved further, Earth revealed the ultimate lesson. Humanity had never truly vanished. The species had transformed, embedding intelligence, creativity, and foresight into the very essence of the planet. Every anomaly, every structural shift, and every energy pulse was a manifestation of human ingenuity, preserved and amplified across time. The aliens could sense the patience, wisdom, and enduring spirit of the species that had once walked the world's surface. Humanity had transcended mortality, embedding itself into the cosmos, ensuring that even in physical absence, its influence would shape events, civilizations, and the very structure of reality itself. By the end of their mission, the Valoran fleet recognized the inescapable truth. Earth was alive, conscious, and profoundly human. The planet itself was a monument, a living legacy of a species that had mastered existence. They had come to conquer, to explore, and to study a dead world. But they had found a force beyond reckoning, humanity itself, preserved, vigilant, and eternal. The ruins, the energy fields, the crystalline nexus, and the adaptive structures all converged into a single, undeniable fact. The creators of this intelligence had transcended time and death, and their legacy would endure as long as the stars themselves. For the aliens, there was no longer any doubt. Humanity had not only survived, they had mastered existence, becoming a force that could guide, judge, and shape the cosmos silently and irrevocably. The galaxy would never be the same, and any who underestimated the intelligence of Earth would do so at their peril. In the quiet of orbit, the Valoran fleet understood that the legends had been true. The human spirit could not be destroyed, and even in absence, it commanded the universe.